Now, what then do we do about this emotion called anger? How do we manage it well? Okay? 5 steps to lead your anger well. And this will be very quick. Number 1, observe your anger. Before you do anything stupid, feel your anger and assess it. Hit pause when you're in that moment and really observe. Observe. It'll be difficult in the start, but eventually you'll get used to it. Observe what's happening inside you and observe what's happening around you. Okay? Check the intensity of your emotion that's inside of you and check the severity of the situation that's outside of you. Because when you check those 2 things and you see, does it match? Does the intensity of your emotion and the severity of the situation, does it match? Because if it does, then you're able to respond to your anger appropriately. Pero kung may mismatch yun, yung sobrang galit na galit ka, pero malit na bagay lang naman pala yung nangyayari, posibleng you are throwing an atomic bomb to a small problem. So you have to check if it actually matches so you could respond with your anger appropriately. Step number 2, cool down. Refuse to make life-altering decisions on split-second reactions. Stephen Covey says this, creating a gap between the stimulus and the response is a core skill of successful people. Pag galit na tayo, when we're fuming with anger, we need to give ourselves the gift of gap. The gap between the stimulus and what your response would be. So that you can observe it, so you can self-evaluate on what your response would be. Madalas kasi pag galit na galit tayo, ito yung stimulus, ay nagre-react na tayo kaagad, nagmumura na tayo, we say stupid things and do stupid things that we could eventually regret. Because there was no gap. There was no gap between the stimulus and the response. In that gap, okay, we're not ignoring or repressing your anger, but we're making a conscious choice that in the heat of the moment, we're not gonna make stupid decisions. We're gonna calm down. We're gonna take a walk or say a prayer or take breathing exercises or listen to relaxing music, meditate, whatever works to calm you down. So the next time you're angry with someone at mainit na, talagang konti na lang magsasakalan na lang kayo, di ba? Say this. Say, can we just stop and let's just give each other space and give it time to eventually lower our emotions, and perhaps in a different time where we're in a better disposition, we can come back and talk better. So can we just give it time and stop? Step 3 is reflect. But step 3 will not be possible pag hindi mo ginawa yung step 2. Hindi ka makakapag-reflect pag hindi ka nag-cool down. So you need to cool down first, and for that, we need to do 2 things, reflection points. First, put yourself in the shoes of the other person. Isipin mo, what led them to say or do such a hurtful thing? Intindihin mo kung saan sila nanggagaling. Ano yung hugot nila? Because it's possible, you've heard of the saying, don't judge the person without knowing the battles that person is fighting. Na posible yung kagalit mo, yung kaaway mo, kaya sila ganun kasi may pinagdadaanan sila. So that's first, put yourself in the shoes of that other person. Second, consider your role in the situation. Isipin mo, did you actually contribute to how it turned out, to what happened? And could you have done things better? So when in anger, reflect on these 2 points so that you can understand that person, understand the situation, and extend grace to that person. Because it's easier to get angry, but if we want to follow Jesus, we ought to extend grace and understand what that person is going through and respond appropriately. Number 4, fix what can be fixed. In other words, change what you can change. This is now the part where we actually act and do something about the situation. You can do the change or the fixing, but it may or may not involve confrontation. It really depends on the specifics of the situation and your relationship with that person that you're confronting. But this does not, let's say you're gonna fix it already, this does not guarantee that everything else will be resolved. Okay? But it is at least an effort to determine a constructive way moving forward. And then lastly, step number 5, and I'm going to close. Create habits of self-awareness. This is how you're going to get better in labeling and leading your anger. So you don't want anger to be the one leading you. You want to be the one leading your anger. Okay? And this is how other people do it. And they practice this. They do it through journaling. Okay? Others through counseling. Some people put themselves into a small group, and that's what we encourage here in the Feast, because life is so much better when done together. Amen. Others seek mentors. So creating this habit of studying your patterns of anger, the why, how, when, what triggers your anger, understanding all of that helps you give that gap to really be able to respond well between the stimulus and the response, so that you can respond in the best way in that situation.